Good morning, City TV News. This is Gina reporting live from 250 College Street, where last night the Toronto Centre for the Addiction and Mental Health lost a patient to suicide. The victim was Billy Bibbett, patient of over 5 years, who was only 26 years old. He was announced dead on the scene from blood loss caused by cutting his own throat with broken glass. The reasoning for the suicide still remains unknown. The funeral is being arranged for later this week by the deceased mother. Thank you for tuning in, and back to you, Ronald. Good morning, Toronto. My name is Vanessa Collins, and welcome to CP24 Morning News. Today with us, we have Dr. Drew to talk a little bit about mental health, mental institutions, and the unfortunate suicide of Billy Bibbett, the 26-year-old patient who committed suicide last night at the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. To start off, how do you feel towards the sudden suicide of Billy Bibbett? Deeply saddening news.
Hey, this is Dr. Drew here in my office, and I definitely agree that is some very shocking news, but it's not something foreign to the world of mental institutions. He was obviously a very troubled young man who needed some help out of that dark hole in his life.
Care to expand on that thought?
I think that the staff at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, they need to be more aware of Billy Bibbett's mental state, and they should have been more nurturing towards him. They know that every patient in the ward is very fragile, and therefore they should be more aware of their actions so that alarming situations like this, they don't happen.
It is indeed a very difficult and stressful job.
Yeah, because of the unfair ward rules. Billy felt forced to follow these rules despite the fact that they were not healthy for him. The ward rules are very strict, and the staff is strict also, which gives the patients not a lot of wiggle room to do what they want to do during their time here.
Ah, I see. Very interesting. Do you know the reason why Billy Bibbett decided to take his life?
Well, the reason is still unclear, but the ward rules have some effect on his suicide, definitely.
Is there any possibility that the ward patients had an effect on Mr. Bibbett's suicide? Do you think that they persuaded him to kill himself, or are all the patients very isolated in the ward?
The patients are free to converse and be involved with everyone in the ward. They're not extremely isolated because that would only make the conditions worse. Also, I don't think the patients would coerce a patient into killing himself. I mean, he's a kid who had a lot of his life in front of him, and the patients were aware of that, and they just wanted him to get out of the ward one day.
Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning, Dr. Drew.
Thank you, it was a pleasure.
Coming up at 8:30, we have Alyssa Rowland to talk about new fall fashions, and at 9 o'clock, the Six God himself, Drake, will be performing his hit single Hotline Bling live in our studio. Thanks for tuning in.
Good evening, Toronto. My name is Michelle Harrison, and welcome to World News Daily. Tonight, we are discussing the tragic and possibly stoppable suicide of 26-year-old Billy Bibbett, resident of the Toronto Centre for Addiction and Mental Health. Tonight, we have with us a very special guest to discuss the tragedy, the ward's own head nurse, Miss Mildred Ratchett. Thank you for being with us. I'm sure this is extremely painful for you.
Good evening, Michelle. Oh, you have no idea. To think our own Billy Bibbett gone.
Now, this is a mental institution you run, and I'm sure this cannot be too unusual for patients. Were you aware of the mental deterioration that Mr. Bibbett was undergoing?
Oh, it wasn't his own mental deterioration. It was because of the sexual assault in the hospital the night before. As an expert of psychiatry, I know my patients and their feelings. Billy was fine until that horrible woman raped him.
Billy was raped?
Yes. The night before, it was this assault that left him feeling unmasculine and a disgrace to his own mother. This was not a suicide. This, my friends, was a cold-blooded murder.
Without this rape, do you think Billy Bibbett could still be with us right now?
100% Billy Bibbit's suicide was a chain reaction leading back to one Candy Star, a prostitute who not only took his virginity and his honor, she also led him to taking his own life.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Mildred. I'm glad we got the whole truth.
Of course, Michelle.
Thank you for tuning in to World News Daily tonight. Thank you to our guest, Miss Nurse Ratchet. Next up, we have a talking dog. Absolutely amazing. Stay tuned to see it on video.